You know, when you run a platform like X, you end up staring directly into the heart of global information dynamics every single day. And honestly, it's wild, it's chaotic, and it's also kind of fun in that trying to land a rocket on a boat in a storm sort of way. So when we rolled out this new feature that reveals the foreign origins of certain influential political accounts in the US, I knew immediately, instantly, that the whole internet would essentially combust in a kind of massive digital popcorn moment where everyone is watching everyone else watching everyone else. Because transparency freaks people out almost as much as the absence of it. And I've always believed sunlight is pretty good at disinfecting nonsense. But man, the reactions were something else. Some people were cheering like we'd just discovered a new element on Mars. Others were melting down as if we'd personally unplugged their toaster. And a few insisted this was part of some galaxy brain master plan to control politics. Which, by the way, is hilarious because if people think I have time to control global politics while juggling rockets, cars, AI, satellites, tunnels, and a social network where someone is always yelling about something, they should probably take a nap. But anyway, the whole point of the feature was simple. If an influential account weighing in on American political discourse is actually being amplified, funded, or operated through foreign influence operations, maybe people deserve to know that. Maybe the informational battlefield shouldn't be completely covered in fog. And so I thought, alright, let's make the fog machines visible. And boom, instantly the conversation shifts to what counts as foreign influence, what counts as transparency, why now, why us, why me. Like I personally climbed through everyone's router in the middle of the night and stamped their IP addresses with a big red label. But the reality is that we're living in a time when misinformation is basically its own economy, trust is a scarce resource, and platforms like X can either pretend nothing's happening or we can actually try to make the environment less rigged, less covert, less manipulated, even if that means people accuse us of having ulterior motives. Which, to be fair, is inevitable. Because the internet loves a conspiracy almost as much as it loves cat videos. And yes, rolling out this feature made influential accounts nervous because suddenly people who looked like organic voices of the people might turn out to be sitting in a server farm halfway around the planet, pushing narratives like it's their day job, because it is. And I knew that once the feature went live, all the hidden machinery would start rattling. The networks would adjust, the operators would panic, and the public would start asking questions they probably should have been asking a decade ago. But that's the thing. We can't build a future where humanity becomes a multi-planet species if we can't even tell who's tweeting at us on this one. So making political influence more transparent isn't about choosing sides or playing referee. It's about acknowledging that the information sphere is a battleground, and pretending it isn't is like pretending gravity doesn't apply to rockets. Sure, you can pretend, but eventually the reality hits the ground hard. And that's why I've always said we need platforms that empower people to think for themselves, not platforms that quietly funnel them into ideological cattle chutes built by unseen actors with hidden interests. So, if this feature shakes things up, good. Disruption is part of progress. And if it sparks more debate about free speech, influence, operations, transparency, and the future of political discourse, even better, because none of this gets solved by ignoring it. And yeah, I get that some folks are uncomfortable, but discomfort is usually just the feeling of old systems cracking while new ones are forming. And at the end of the day, X isn't about controlling the narrative, it's about revealing it, lifting the hood, showing the wiring, letting people see the machine for what it is. Because that's how you keep a society from drifting into a simulation of truth instead of the real thing. And honestly, if we're going to build a civilization that survives long enough to reach Mars, we should probably start by making sure our political feeds don't secretly originate from places that would rather see us fail than evolve. So, after the initial rollout detonated across the digital landscape like a Falcon Heavy launch, with the volume knob stuck on max, I started watching the ripple effects spread through the ecosystem of accounts, influencers, operatives, bots, pseudo-bots, semi-human LARPing as bot hybrids. Basically the entire zoo of modern online communication. And it was fascinating because the moment you shine a light into a system that's been operating comfortably in the dark, everything that thrives on shadows starts scrambling. And suddenly, people who had been confidently posting like they owned the town square were acting like someone just flipped their usernames upside down. And you could practically hear the gears grinding as they tried to figure out how to maintain influence without revealing where that influence was actually coming from. And the funny part is that a lot of folks assumed this feature would somehow target one political side or the other, which is amusing because foreign influence operations don't care about sides at all. They care about leverage, chaos, and opportunity. And if you think about it, the whole idea of political tribes online is already kind of outdated because most of the loudest voices aren't even people. They're networks, they're scripts, they're content factories designed to push emotional buttons with machine precision. And that's why I kept saying transparency is the only defense mechanism that scales with the problem. Because moderation alone is like trying to stop a tidal wave with a paper towel, but exposing the architecture behind influence that forces people to reevaluate, recalibrate, rethink who they're listening to and why. And yeah, this made certain groups absolutely furious because when you're accustomed to operating without scrutiny, openness feels like an attack, and my DMs are blowing up with everything from "thank you for doing this" to "you have personally ruined democracy" to "Elon, please return my Dogecoin," which, to be clear, is not related to the feature but apparently happens every time I log in. And the funniest thing is how predictable the backlash pattern is. First comes denial. There's no foreign influence. Then outrage. You're weaponizing transparency. Then conspiracy. This is a secret plot to boost or suppress someone. And finally, resignation. Okay, fine, maybe this is useful. And that cycle happens every single time we introduce a feature meant to empower users instead of gatekeepers. And honestly, it reinforced something I've believed for years. Information ecosystems are like rocket engines. Incredibly powerful but inherently unstable if you don't monitor the forces inside them. And X, at its core, is trying to build a system where people can actually navigate reality without getting blasted by invisible thrusters. They don't even know exist because if we can't manage the informational thrust vectoring of a planet with 8 billion humans talking at once, how are we supposed to manage a civilization spread across multiple planets with communication delays and entirely new political dynamics? So yes, this transparency feature is just step one in a long journey. where we start peeling back layers and showing people how the information sausage gets made. And maybe it's messy, maybe it's loud, maybe it freaks some people out, but innovation always does that. And if the cost of pushing humanity forward is a little turbulence in the timeline, then honestly that's a bargain, because the alternative is letting influence networks shape the future without anyone knowing who's behind the curtain. And that's not the kind of civilization I'm interested in building, Mars or no Mars. And as all of this unfolded, I kept thinking about how strange it is that we live in a time where the simple act of telling people where an account is actually operated from is considered some kind of revolutionary move, because in any other domain, finance, science, engineering, even basic manufacturing, transparency is just assumed. It's the starting point, not the shock and twist, but in the information sphere, where narratives flow faster than rockets and people build entire identities out of pixels. Any attempt to reveal underlying reality becomes controversial by default. And honestly, that's one of the biggest design flaws in modern communication. People don't just consume information, they merge with it, fuse with it, become emotionally tethered to it. So when you expose that some of the loudest narratives aren't even coming from organic communities, but from coordinated foreign operations, suddenly you're not just illuminating a fact, you're disrupting identities. And disruptions to identity hit people way harder than disruptions to code or policy, which is why some users reacted as if their digital gravity had been switched off. And I get it, humans evolved to trust whoever sounds confident, not whoever is actually real, and the internet exploited that quirk on a planetary scale. So this feature wasn't just a technical update, it was a psychological one, a push toward an environment where people might start questioning and not only what they're reading, but who is nudging them to read it. And that's uncomfortable. But it's also necessary if humanity wants to stop drifting into a future where reality is optional. And the fascinating part was watching how quickly certain networks adapted.